Hello everyone, I'm Arunima from Knit and Otter, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a 10 stitch pattern using Tunisian crochet. So this is I think it's a very simple technique once you understand what to do. So we start at the center. We start with a 10 by 10 square, which is 10 stitches, 10 rows. And I think it's called a 10 stitch blanket because whenever you're working 10 stitches at once in one row, except for the corners. So we start with this center panel and then we continue here towards the side where we make this little triangle here. We start the corner by making this one triangle and then we turn our work, and then we make this over here, so that completes that one corner, and then we make another corner on this side here and we turn again and we continue this side, and then we make this corner, then this panel, and then this corner, and then we turn, and we just keep going like this. So this you can keep going and you can make this as large as you want. And I also think you can make it with as many stitches as you want. So it is a 10 stitch blanket, but I think it would work with 5, 6, 7, or even more than 10, like 20 stitches. The technique will remain the same and I'll show you how to do this, but it's very straightforward once you figure out how to work these corners. And I think the first one is the first two are slightly different than the rest because that's where you're sort of setting up the pattern. But once you have these two done, then the rest of them are pretty much the same. After I made this video, I made this little clip to show you what to expect in this tutorial. So we're going to start at the center panel and then we're going to make a corner with like this with alternating rows in different colors. I think it's very easy to understand how to make this corner if you change color on every row. You don't have to do it this way, but if you just look at this tutorial and see this corner, then you'd know what I mean. And once we've made this, I'm going to make this corner, which is two solid colors. I wanted to show you how it looks how to make it if it is in two solid colors. And then we're going to make this panel which joins with this one. We're going to make another solid color corner here. I wanted to show you how to do it in just one color, and then we're going to make this panel which joins with this one sideways, and then this corner which is exactly the same as this one, and then this panel here, and then we're going to bind off. You could keep going, you could add another corner here, and then you could add another corner here, and you could make a panel here and then another corner. So you can this pattern you can keep repeating until you have a project of the size that you desire. But this is what we're going to make in this tutorial, and I am going to experiment with creating two versions. I'm always wondering if I should speed up the monotonous parts, and I have people tell me that I go too fast, and I have also people who tell me I go too slow. So with this, I'm going to experiment and I'm going to make two videos. One which is going to be a long version where I'm not going to forward anything and I'm going to include everything I did, so you can follow along and make this entire square with me. But I'm also going to make a shorter version where I have clipped out the parts which are monotonous or just are repetitions, and so you can if whichever version you're on, I'm going to add a link in the description for the other version so you can check that out. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So for this tutorial, I'm going to use 3 colors to show you how this works up. I'm going to do it exactly like this, but I'm going to use 3 different colors. And I am using Lily Sugar and Cream yarn for this, and a hook that is 6.5 millimeters. So let's start with, we always start with a 10 stitch square. So it is going to be 10 stitches and 10 rows of Tunisian simple stitches. So we start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the other thing is, this is going to be a little bit this video is going to be long because I'm going to show you how to make that entire thing. You can skip the parts or you can forward the parts that you understand, but the corners are the most important. So if you can just skip to the corners, that should just that should be enough for you to understand how to make the entire pattern. And I am starting with the foundation row. I have separate tutorials for how to make the foundation row and also how to make a Tunisian simple stitch if you want to check them out. I'm going to add a link to everything in the description below so you can find them. So I'm going to make my foundation row with 10 stitches. So that completes the foundation row. I'm going to make a total of 10 rows, so 9 more rows of simple stitches. So this is how it's looking. This is 10 stitches and 10 rows. So that's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So 10 rows. You can see that this is slightly long as compared to the height is more than the width. That is because these stitches, simple stitches, are taller than they're wide. So this does not really matter too much in this pattern. You will see that this will even out eventually. So at this point I'm going to so here, this is where we are. I just completed this part here. Now I'm going to start making this corner. So to show you how to make this corner, I'm going to use a combination of 2 yarns, and I'm going to alternate colors so that you will be able to see how to get this corner. If you prefer to see all of it in a single solid color, then I'm going to make the next corner in a solid color so you can see how both of them work up. So let me just give you a quick overview here of what we're going to do. So if you see, this is, after we complete this, we're going to make rows with decreases. So with every row we will decrease 1 stitch. So we have 10 stitches here. This one will have 9, this one will have 8, 7, 6, and we go all the way till 1 stitch. And we're doing a reverse pass decrease here. So we will decrease on the reverse pass and not on the forward pass. And you can see that when we're doing this, we end up with 9 rows. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and there's that 9th one over there. And this section would be the same. Here we will do increases. We start with 1 stitch and we go all the way till this will be 10 stitches in the end. So there is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 rows here as well. So 9 rows here, 9 rows here. So in every corner you will have 9 rows and 9 rows. So that's a square sort of 9 by 9, but because it joins here, it matches up. It becomes a 10 stitch corner, but you will see how that works up. But just so you know, there'll be 9 rows in each triangle in every corner. So I'm going to now go ahead and make that first corner. So let's join this yarn here. And now, just like we were making these previous rows, just start picking up stitches and make Tunisian simple stitches in the forward pass. So there should be 10 loops on your hook, or how many ever stitches you started with. So there's 2 4 6 8 10, and I'm going to now, I'm not going to chain 1, I'm just going to yarn over and pull through 2, and I'm going to do that all the way to the beginning. And because I'm going to show you how to do this into colors, I'm going to change color at this point. You don't have to do this. This is just, I think this is an easy way to understand how to make this corner and how those 2 triangles in the corner line up. I'm going to the next triangle, the next corner that I'm going to make will be with solid colors, so you can see how that works up as well. But to understand how this corner works up, I think I find this easy to explain also. So here in this next row, we'll do, instead of picking up 10 loops on the hook, we'll have 9. So that decrease that we did in the reverse pass, we're going to pick up 1 loop. So there's this vertical bar and there's this slanted bar. We'll leave that slanted one and we'll just pick up this vertical bar. So that's 9. 2 4 6 8 9. And I'm just going to do a yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. So that, again, that reduces the stitch count by 1. So there was 10 here, 9 here, 8 here. The next one is going to be 7. So, but the 7 will happen at the return pass. So you'll pick up 8 loops, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then when I make the return pass, it'll be yarn over, pull through 2, so that'll leave it with a total of 7 stitches. So we keep going until we have 2 loops on our hook. And with every row we leave that last slanted stitch because we're reducing by 1 stitch in every row. Here we are here with 2 loops on our hook, and if we count the number of rows, we are at 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and this is the 9th row. So if you remember, here we had counted, so this is the center and this is that first triangle that we're just making, and that has 9 rows here. That's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and there's that 9th one that's hiding there. So 9 rows, and now we're going to turn our work. I'm just going to untangle my yarn. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my work like this, and I'm going to make this portion, this half of that square, so there'll be a triangle there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up colors so you can see how that works up. So because the last stitch in this on the side was the last row on the side was this white color, I'm going to make the first row on that side in white as well. So complete that, and now I have this. So I'm sorry, that just completed that that last row here. Now I'm going to turn, and this is the first loop or the first stitch of that first row on the side. So I'm going to keep this on, and I'm going to pick up that slanted stitch from that first row or the last row from the previous triangle. I'm going to pick that and make a simple stitch there. So then yarn over, pull through 2. So that makes the first row. So instead of pulling through 2 with that color, I'm going to change color at this point so that I can line up that other row with this. And now I'm going to, so this is the first stitch of this row. I'm going to pick up this horizontal bar which we had made, that stitch was made in that slanted bar from that previous row. So here, so it's basically making 2 stitches here, and then we're also going to pick up this slanted stitch from this row. So you can see how easy it is to figure out which one to pick up. If I had done it in a single color, initially when I started learning how to do this, it was very difficult to figure out where to insert my hook. So here you can clearly see that in the same color, a row with the same color, and that slanted stitch in the end, that's the one that you need to pick up. And here, that's 3 loops on your hook, and yarn over 2, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. But I'm going to change color here. So with every row we are adding one loop on the hook. So here I've got one, and then this will be 2, and then I'm going to pick up that horizontal bar that was joined with that slanting bar here. That's 3, and then find that same color and the slanting stitch of that row, and that's 4. So yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. I'm going to change color again, and so now there were 4 on the hook. Now we expect there to be 5. So that's 1 and 2 and 3. The 4th one will be this horizontal bar, 4, and the 5th one will join with this slanting stitch here with the row of the same color. There. So yarn over, pull through 2. So the next row will have 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that horizontal bar, and 6 in that slanted bar. Yarn over, pull through 2. And that's, I need 7 here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that horizontal bar, and then that's the slant bar. So we are now on row 8, I believe. So that's 1. We started with a white. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've completed 8 rows, and we're expecting to have 9 here. So this is the last row for this corner. So I'm going to, this is slightly different from what we will do in other corners. So this one is important. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9th one here in that horizontal bar. So that's 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and now I'm going to pick up this 10th one here, and I'm also going to insert my hook in the same space where this is attached to the previous color, and I'm going to pull up a loop. So that is to anchor this triangle here, because if I don't do this, it makes this fabric a little unstable. So this just adds some stability. So it's a good idea to anchor this at this point, and just yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. So here you can see that this first corner is done, and it matches what we have over here. So this way. it matches what we have over here. This was the center. This is where we begin in this one, and here I have the first triangle, that is this one over here, and then I have that second triangle that works in this direction, so that's there. And if you look at the color transitions, because of the color transitions, it's easy to figure out how to make this make this corner. But I'm going to also make the next one. So the next one is this one, which is very similar to this. There's this very slight difference where we're not going to anchor that last row in that space there, and that's because we're going to make that next section and that will get anchored there. So that's the big difference between these two corners. And I'm going to make this in two colors just like this is. So if this is distracting or if this is difficult to follow, then you can use the next one. So I'm going to make this section with this triangle with this one color, and I expect to have, so I need 10 stitches on my hook at this point, 10 loops, so 2, 4, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that is not counting that last anchored stitch. We will just leave it there. That is just so to give stability to this fabric. So there's 10 loops, and now I'm just going to go ahead and yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning, making the reverse pass, and just I'm going to make 9 rows, a total of 9 rows like this. Now because of that return pass decrease, we'll have a total of 9 loops on our hook in the next row. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then yarn over, pull through 2, so that's a reverse pass decrease. The next one we should have 8, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and yarn over, pull through 2. So we'll keep doing this until we have 2 loops on our hook in the final row. And here we have 2 loops on our hook, and if you count, this should be 9 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is the 9th one. So I'm going to go on and complete this, but I'm going to switch color here. I'm just going to pick this one. I'm not cutting yarn. I'm probably going to weave it in when I'm making the next section, the section on this side. So here I am going to complete that. So that is a total of 9 rows. Now I'm going to turn this. I'm going to make that next half with this color. So to begin, I'm going to, this is the first stitch on my hook already. I'm going to pick up this slanted bar. That was the decrease. That was the second one from that previous row. Pick that up, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through 2. So that's row 1 on this side. For row 2, I'm going to pick up that horizontal bar, and then I'm going to find the slanted stitch of the next row. So this one is the next row, and this is that slanted bar here. So you have to be very careful to make sure that you're picking up the right bar, because this is where I kept getting confused. And it's still better to do this with 2 solid colors. If you're using the same yarn and not changing color at corners, then it gets even harder, I think. But once you have practiced and you've figured out the technique, then it gets easier. So yarn over, pull through 2 twice, and then for the third row I'm going to this is the first loop on the hook, that's the first stitch. Pick up the vertical bar and then pick up this horizontal bar. That's 3 loops on the hook. So with every row we are adding 1 loop on the hook, and the fourth one will be here. This is the next row. So this was the row that we attached with in the last one, and this is the next row, and here is that slanted stitch, and that's 4 loops on the hook. The next one will have 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, and that horizontal stitch, the horizontal bar, and then find the next row, which is this one, and that slanted stitch of that next one, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and with every row we're going to add 1 more loop to the hook. Make sure to pick up that horizontal bar from the previous row and then the slanting bar from the row in the previous triangle. So here we are at row 8, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is complete, and now I'm going to make the 9th one. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I join with this slanted, that's the last one here for this triangle. And here now I'm not going to anchor this stitch over here. You could do it, but I didn't find the need to do it, so I'm just going to go ahead and complete this. And for the next part I'm going to change color, and I'm going to show you how to make one edge. So this is how it's looking right now, and I'm going to show you, this is where we are. So I turned this around. So we started here, we moved in this direction, we made this corner, which is this one, and then we made this corner, which is this one. So this one is anchored with that stitch here right in the center. Here you can see right here, and this one is not, the last row of this one is not, and all the other corners will be like this. We don't really need to anchor that last one. This one was special because if we didn't do that, it would leave the fabric a little unstable. So now I'm going to continue making the panel on the side. So this one, if you're aware of the join as you go technique, this is just that. You just make a set of rows which in this direction, and you keep joining with each row on this panel. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So at the beginning I'll have 10 stitches, 10 loops on the hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the 10th one will be this. Don't forget that horizontal bar from the previous row. So 10, and then we're going to, so this, we're going to join it with, it's the join as you go method, so we'll join it with the same place that we anchored that row from here. So we're just going to insert my hook here, yarn over, pull through. So that is a total of 11 loops on the hook. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 11. So the reason for that is that's 10 stitches from the panel, and the 11th loop is for the join. So then yarn over, pull through 2, and just go ahead and make 10 rows. I'm going to do 10 rows of simple stitches in this panel, and every row will be joined with the next row of this panel here. So the next corner I will make it in a single color, so you can see how to do that as well. I want to give you all the options so you can see how they work up with different sort of color change options. So that's 10 stitches, 10 loops, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then I'm going to join with that next row here. I'm just going to pick up those 2 vertical bars here and yarn over, pull through. That's 9 rows. That's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and there'll be one more. So if you do this right, this will just line up. You won't really have to count because you're joining one row over here with one row over here, and because there were 10 rows here, this will match up exactly with that panel. So this is the last one here. I'm going to pick up the last 2 vertical bars of this one here, and that completes this panel here. And at this point I'm going to change color because I want to show you what that next, how to make that next corner. So I'm going to make it with this green. So this is how it is looking right now. I'm not taking care of weaving in ends or anything in this video. So basically when you're doing a join as you go, if there is a strand of thread at the back, you can just weave that in as you are joining. So that's all that there is to it. So here, this is how it is. And if you compare it with this swatch here, so this is where we started, and then we made this corner, and then we made this corner, now this panel, and the next one is going to be this corner. So I'm going to make the entire corner in this one color. Start with making the decrease rows. So that's there'll be 10 loops on the hook, but we're going to do a reverse pass decrease. 2 4 6 8 10, and then yarn over, pull through 2. And this is 9 loops on the hook, 2 4 6 8 9, and then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. This one will be 8, and with every row we're reducing 1 stitch or 1 loop on the hook, and we're doing a reverse pass decrease. So here we are. This is the 9th row. That's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. I'm going to complete it in this same color now, and I'm going to make the other half of this square with this same color, so you can see how to find the stitches where to make that other triangle. So we start with, this is the first loop on the hook. Now make sure you pick up that horizontal bar from that previous row, and yarn over, pull through 2. So you always start with 2 stitches or 2 loops on the hook at the end of the forward pass in that second triangle. So we have this one now, that's 1. Now we need 3, so this one is 1, and that horizontal bar here, just pick that, and then find that slanting stitch of that next row. So if you can, so you can see that this was the row that we made our previous sort of join in. Now the next one would be this row, and here is that slanted stitch, and pick that up, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2. And for the next one, we'll need 4 loops on the hook. So that's 1, 2. Third is picking that horizontal bar, and the fourth is again, so this is the row that we just joined within the previous one. So this one is the next row, and here is that slanted stitch. And then yarn over, pull through 2, and with every row we're going to add 1 stitch or add 1 loop to the hooks. So that's 4, and then that is that slanted bar, and 5. So we'll have a total of 9 rows. And we've completed 8 rows here. So because we didn't change color, it's a little hard to see, but if you turn this a little towards you, you can see that this is the first loop or the first row in this on the side. So that's on this triangle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've just completed 8 rows, and we need to make 9. I'm going to make the 9th one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pick up that horizontal bar and pick up that slanted bar from that. There you go. And then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. So if you see that I didn't anchor this one over here, it's not needed. I'm going to make the next part, which is the panel on this side. So for that I'm going to change color. And that the first row I make here, that will be anchored over there. So that's what we're going to do next. So the next panel, let me show you where we are first. So here I keep turning the project because that's how we're working on this. So we started, it's hard to include both of these. Okay, so this is where we started, and then we made this, and then we made this. So we made this one, and then we made this one, and then we made this panel, which was joined with this one using the join as you go technique, and then we made this corner, and now we're going to make this panel, which will be joined with this one. So I'm going to make, another thing that I want to point out here is, if you see that we've worked in this direction here and in this direction on this side, so when we join here, that's an interesting problem to solve. It's hard to find those 10 anchor points here to join 10 rows. So we will make 9 rows in this panel. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And those line up nicely because there are 10 stitches here. So there are sort of 9 columns, and you can join with each column. And that also helps because these stitches are tall, it sort of offsets, making one row less than the 10 that we made on this side. It makes it slightly short, but you see that height aligns with the height of this one aligns with the width of this one, so I think that worked up really well for me. And I think that just sort of worked out with the way this was laid out. I'm going to show you how I did it. So make 10 simple stitches, including the first one, so it'll be 10 loops on the hook. So it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the 10th one will be this horizontal bar. Don't forget to pick that one up. And then we're going to join right here. So here you can see that I'm going to pick up the two vertical bars on this side, and I'm just going to pick those up and join, and then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning. And I'm going to do that for every column here, so to speak. So if you see, that was the first column, and then there's one more here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it lines up nicely if you just follow, if you just pick up the 2 vertical bars on each column. And that's 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then join by picking up the 2 vertical bars here. This is slightly hard because that was the chain, and if you remember, I made the foundation row in the back loop of that base chain, and that is why I have these 2 vertical bars here, and it really helps in this. But if you didn't make your foundation row in the back loop, if you made it in if you picked up a different loop for it, you may not have these 2 vertical bars. So just pick up how many ever you have over here. It may be 1, it may be 2. So that's row 2. I'm going to make 7 more. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and the last one will be the ninth one, which will be right here. So here it is, that's 9 rows. And the other advantage of doing this 9 rows here is that it matches exactly over here, because we had 9 rows here as well. If you remember, this triangle was 9 rows and this is 9 rows, so this matches on both sides, so that's great. I'm going to make the next one here, which is going to be the exact same as this. So I'm just going to pick a solid color, and I'm going to make that corner again if you want to watch me do it. So I'm not cutting yarn and weaving in as I go. I would normally do that, but this is just a tutorial. If you are doing this with color changes, and if you want to change color like this, I definitely recommend cutting yarn and weaving in ends as you go, or you could do it in the end as well. But for this tutorial, I am not going to cut and weave in ends. So here 10 loops on my hook, and I'm going to just make this corner really quickly. If you need an explanation of how this is done, go back to the previous corner when I made this one. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and that's the 9th row here. I'm going to complete this. I'm going to change color, go back to the white. I wanted to make a green panel here, but I'll show you why I'm not going to do that. So here we are right now. This is how it's looking. And if you align it here with this one, this is how it is. So we started here, we went here, made this one, and then this one, and then this corner, this panel, this corner, and then now we're going to make this long panel here. So I'm going to make a panel here. I wanted to make it with green, but I'm not going to do that because that will be right next to this one. And with this pattern, you can see that if you make them next to each other, I mean it will work, but I wanted them to be different colors. So if you're using variegated yarn or you're using different kinds of different colors, then having two colors, complementary colors together always works. But if you complementary or matching, there's some sort of color matching going on. But if you wanted to use two colors that don't match at all, like for instance, if I wanted to use these two colors, which I don't really see myself using them together in a project, but if I wanted to in this, I'd put one of these here and one of them on the other side, so they're not next to each other. So let's make this. So this panel is exactly the same as this one here, where I'm going to pick up a total of 10 loops on the hook. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 10th is that horizontal bar. And then I'm going to join with the first row over here. So if you see, this was my first, or the foundation row, and these are the two vertical bars of that first stitch. So I'm just going to pick those and join here and yarn over, pull through 2. So I had 11 loops on the hook at this point. I'm just going to yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning of this. So that makes the first row over here, and I'm just going to continue making these. So there will be a total of 19, I think. So 10 that will match this exactly, and 9 more because there was 9 rows on this in this triangle here. So I'm going to complete that all the way, and I'm going to show you how to bind off in the end. that's 10 rows. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So 1 to match exactly with this panel, and then I'm going to do 9 more. To join with this first one over here. We'll join with the next one. Now onto the last row. Or actually the 9th row here. So this one, and then here that's the last row on that triangle. So that's 9 rows. So that's a total of 19 rows in this panel. And then to end it, we're going to bind off. So this is how it's looking right now, and I'm going to use a slip stitch bind off. I have a separate video for this as well, so I'm not going to explain it in detail, but the only difference between that and this is that I've started to chain one before I start my slip stitches, so that I've changed how I do it. So that's something I do now, which I wasn't doing earlier, but that's not incorrect, the one that's in the video tutorial from earlier, but I like to do it this way now. So I'm just going to pick up stitches and do a slip stitch bind off. that's 10, and then I'm going to join it with this here. So I'm going to cut yarn and I'm going to do an invisible join here. I don't have a video for that, but if you search for invisible join, then that you should be able to find it. So I'm going to join it with this row over here. For now, I'm just going to slip stitch so you see how it's looking. In a real project, I'd do a invisible join there. So this is how it is. Made the full panel that I showed you over here, and so here it is for reference. We started at the center, moved in this direction, and then moved here. So you turn your project as you go, and you can just keep going. You can add a corner here, and then add another panel, a corner here, another panel. So your blanket will, or your project will keep growing this way. You can make all sorts of different things with it, and all kinds of different yarns. This pattern can be built with any kind of yarn with an appropriate hook. So that's pretty much all there is in this. You just have to keep repeating these corners, the ones that I made here, and this one as well. So this is the only one that is different because we anchor that stitch over here. And this is how it is in the back. It's not pretty, but I thought I'd show you because all the yarn that I did not cut, but you can see that the joins are very neat. And here, and if you were making another row or another round of this, then you could sort of weave this in as you go, because when you would do a join, you could pull that in and you could weave this in as you go. But it's always a possibility to cut and weave in ends. With every panel, you can make this with variegated yarn or with gradient yarn as well. I haven't tried it, but I've seen some very pretty examples. So that's pretty much all there is for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. I have a bunch of other videos, and I have a lot of Tunisian crochet patterns up on my blog and tutorials on my channel, so feel free to check them out. And thank you for watching. Bye bye.